familiar piece.
If you go down in the woods today, you better go in disguise. For every bear that ever there was will gather there for certain, because today's the day the teddy bears have their picnic.
Well, there's usually characters who seem to have these sort of instruments. They are characters, actually. They seem to grow onto their instruments. The thing that puzzles me is why do always small blokes, as a rule, always end up carrying these huge, great big instruments about, you know?
Every teddy bear who's been good is sure of a treat today. There's lots of marvelous things to eat and wonderful games to play. Beneath the trees where nobody sees, they'll hide and seek as long as they please. That's the way the teddy bears have their picnic.
Whenever there's a gathering of bass saxophonists, which is probably about twice a century, the one essential presence on our side of the Atlantic must be that lifelong devotee of the instrument, Harry Gold.
Hostelry keeper?
Had to pawn your case?
Well, I never had a case, actually. Never did.
God bless you. There we go. Healing through.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
With everyone in place, the unveiling can begin.
Rather been rolled over by a lorry, you see, which necessitated it's being completely rebuilt in Manchester. You know, those lovely people that used to be up there regularly. Who would,
This is the famous lyrist.
it's a lyrist, yes.
Of Paris. What do you know about them? I've never heard of them.
No, I'm afraid I don't really know anything about them either.
You know the legend of the woman, do you, on the front?
Yeah.
I didn't know this, but the chap who handled Con said that if you only had a small bit, like a top of a woman, that was sort of not so good. And the more woman you have, the better quality sax it is. It looks good anyway, nothing else. Similar to yours, isn't it?
Yes, except that mine doesn't admit that it's a con. It's not. It doesn't even have the name of con on it, let alone any women.
But I'm sure yours would polish up, wouldn't it? It's
No, really. This I found. I had a friend who's an antique dealer, and he came to my house one day and said, "You like big saxophones? There's a big saxophone in a car sales room in St Leonard's." See, so I thought, well, it would be nice to have a second baritone, but it's probably a tenor. Anyhow, I went along, upside down and back to front, and as black as the ace of spades. And they said, yes, of course, sir, it's a medieval instrument. They used to use these instruments in military bands.
oh, beautiful.
They came up with such things like, of course, you know, these are becoming terribly popular as umbrella stands in the West End.
I usually cut the tongue, and then that fills up with blood. And then I empty the spit key, and the lovely crimson flow goes all over the floor. And then whoever's sitting next to me starts wondering about why he's got little red spots all over his face. And then they sort of saying, "Are you all right, mate? And you know, shall I get a doctor?" I say, "No, don't worry about it." And this makes it worse. I sort of say it happens all the time. They think they've gone on a gig with Count Dracula or something.
I could do with a few more keys up here to go up to F or F sharp, because they're useful for the harmonics as well. But one thing I really like, undo this join, move the bell up a bit more tubing in here, and get an extra low note, low A, just like they do on the baritones.
Now, I've got a new bass saxophone mouthpiece at home, and as supplied by the manufacturer, it's got a little pad of rubber on the top. Now, you can imagine that an instrument of this size sets up mighty vibrations when it plays. And for a man of my stature, that might not be important, but Harry, with respect, for a man of your stature, it might even shake you off your feet. So tell us a little bit about why or why not, you know, rubber was used stuck on the top of the mouthpiece.
I don't agree with it at all.
You don't agree with it?
No. I see no reason why there should be a piece of rubber or anything else on it, because everything is vibration. Anyway, the instrument vibrates, the reed vibrates, the mouthpiece also vibrates, in spite of the fact that it's more solid. It vibrates. The moment you put something else on it, which is foreign to it, it stops sound vibration. Only an opinion. That's my opinion.
And the most authoritative opinion in the business.
Harry Gold, of course, I mean, he's number one. I mean, apart from being a great friend of mine, he's also a wonderful player. Very nice chap. And he's always led a good band. And he's a good arranger. He makes the front line of his band sound much bigger. He's got a beautiful arrangement of Poor Butterfly, where Harry takes the lead on the bass sax and the others are playing the harmony. And it sounds like an 8-piece front line. It's a wonderful sound.
Well on his way to 80 years of age, Harry Gold still invariably carries the instrument. He won't sit down and use a stand, as many players do.
Well, because it's more of an instrument. You put it on the stand, it becomes a machine. I like to feel it on me. I like to feel the vibrations. And you have it on the stand, it's not an instrument.
You can tell just by looking at them that Harry Gold and the bass sax go back a long way together.
Yes, 1929 to be precise. And I saw Adrian Rollini playing it in the Savoy Hotel. I was working at a place called the Melton Club. It was a real nightclub. We didn't start till 11 o'clock, so we had the opportunity of getting behind the screen there and watch him in action. Not only he, but some of the other guys, like Bobby Davis and Chelsea Quealy.
Rollini, Davis and Quealy had been brought over to London by the pianist Fred Elizalde, a rich Filipino whiz kid who'd had some success with his Cambridge University band. To showcase the Americans at the Savoy, Elizalde hired a new band of young British professionals, Harry Hayes among them.